The massive ship hung like a silent ghost above Earth, its smooth hull reflecting the distant sun. Inside, Commander Taiwan looked at the screen showing images of the blue planet. His long fingers moved across the control panel as he studied the data. "Just another young world," he said to his crew. "They barely have ships that can reach their own moon. Make a note to check on them again in 100 years." The commander's ship left Earth behind, returning to the stars where the Galactic Federation ruled. The Federation included hundreds of alien species, all more advanced than humans. Most had forgotten about Earth soon after the scout ship's report. 3 months passed. Far from Earth, the human cargo ship Andromeda's Pride moved slowly between distant stars. Inside, Alexis Connor, Lex to her friends, walked the empty corridors with her rifle slung across her back. The former soldier had taken the security job hoping for excitement, but most days were quiet. Today was different. Alarms suddenly blared throughout the ship, red lights flashing in the corridors. "Security alert. Unknown ship approaching fast." Captain Jaiho's voice came through the speakers. "All security personnel prepare for possible boarding." Lex ran to her locker and pulled out her weapon. The XM500 anti-material rifle was enormous, almost as tall as she was and weighing nearly 30 pounds. Most security officers thought it was too big for shipboard use, but Lex knew better. She had seen what it could do. The ship shuddered as something struck the hull. The captain's voice returned, now tight with fear. "They've locked onto us. Prepare for boarders." The Vrek were feared across this part of space. With 6 arms and hard shells covering their bodies, they looked like giant insects. They were pirates who attacked weaker ships, stealing cargo and killing crews. They had never encountered humans before. Their leader, Daxur, cut through the airlock with a plasma torch. Behind him, 12 armed Vrek warriors waited, their mandibles clicking with excitement. "This will be easy," Daxur told his crew. "These creatures are new to space. Their technology is primitive. Take everything valuable and kill anyone who fights back." The pirates moved through the ship's corridors, weapons ready. They found the cargo bay doors sealed. Daxur ordered his best warriors to cut through. As they worked, a sound echoed down the corridor. Footsteps. A single set. The pirates turned to see a human female standing alone, facing them. She was small compared to the Vrek, barely half their height. Daxur's mandibles clicked in what passed for laughter among his kind. "What is this? They send one tiny creature to stop us." He raised his energy weapon. Then Lex lifted her rifle. The Vrek stopped laughing. Their translator devices struggled to find words for what they were seeing. To their eyes, the human was holding a weapon completely out of proportion to her size, a massive gun that no sensible species would design. "I'll give you one chance," Lex said calmly, the huge barrel pointed at the group. "Get back to your ship and leave." Daxur recovered from his surprise. His shell was reinforced with advanced alloys that could stop energy weapons. No primitive human gun could harm him. "Your projectile weapon is useless against our." The sound of the rifle was deafening in the confined space. The massive round struck Daxur directly in the chest, tore through his reinforced shell as if it were paper, continued through him, through the wall behind him, and punched a hole in the hull of the Vrek ship still attached to the airlock. Alarms blared from the pirate vessel as air rushed out into space. The remaining Vrek stared in horror at their leader's body, then at the hole that went straight through the ship's wall. "What kind of weapon does that?" one of them cried, backing away. Lex chambered another round, the mechanical sound echoing in the sudden silence. "Last chance," she said. The Vrek didn't need to be told twice. They fled, dragging their leader's body. As they retreated to what remained of their ship, one was heard transmitting a warning to other pirate vessels in the sector. "Avoid human ships. They carry weapons that can punch through anything. Their guns are unnecessarily large and powerful. What kind of species thinks this way?" Later, After the Andromeda's Pride had resumed its journey, Captain Jeho found Lex cleaning her rifle in the mess hall. "That's an impressive weapon," he said, sitting across from her. "But isn't it a bit excessive for shipboard security?" Lex smiled as she carefully reassembled the massive gun. "Captain, I've learned that when facing the unknown, there's no such thing as excessive firepower. The wreck won't be bothering human ships again anytime soon." "No," agreed Jeho, "but word of what happened here will spread. The Federation will hear about us now." "Good," said Lex, locking the rifle's action into place with a satisfying click. "Let them know what they're dealing with." Across the stars, the recording of the encounter was already making its way through communication networks. Other species watched with a mixture of confusion and alarm as they saw the human female with her oversized weapon. For the first time, the Galactic Federation began to wonder if they had underestimated the newest species in their midst. Humans, it seemed, had a very different approach to problem-solving. The grand meeting hall of Federation headquarters was filled with murmurs and hushed conversations. On the massive screen at the front of the room, the same video played on repeat. A human female holding an impossibly large rifle, facing down wreck pirates. The footage had spread across every corner of galactic civilization within days. High Counselor Su-Jin watched it again, her slender fingers tapping thoughtfully against the conference table. The other council members exchanged concerned glances as the video showed the human weapon punching through reinforced armor and ship hull in one shot. "This is the 5th time you've watched it," remarked Council Member Neri. "What are you seeing that we're not?" Su-Jin paused the footage at the moment. The human lifted the massive rifle. "An opportunity," she said simply. "The Rangers have been struggling against the rising criminal elements in the outer sectors. Perhaps what we need is a different approach." She turned to her aide. "Find this human. Offer her a position with the Ranger Corps. We need someone with this unique perspective." 2 weeks later, Lex stood awkwardly in the gleaming docking bay of the Ranger flagship *Justice Eternal*. The ship was easily 20 times larger than the merchant vessel she'd worked on. All around her, aliens of different shapes and sizes moved with purpose, occasionally glancing at the human in their midst. A tall, lean figure approached. He wore the distinctive silver uniform of a Ranger captain, with blue markings that indicated leadership rank. "Security Specialist Alexis Connor?" he asked, his translator rendering his words in perfect English. "Yes, sir. Most people call me Lex. I am Captain June. Welcome aboard the *Justice Eternal*. You'll be assigned to my squad." His eyes drifted to the large case at her feet. "Is that your weapon?" "Yes, sir. The XM500 anti-material rifle, modified for ship duty." Captain June circled the case slowly, his expression a mixture of curiosity and doubt. "May I see it?" Lex knelt and opened the case. The massive rifle sat in custom foam padding, its barrel nearly as long as Lex was tall. Captain June's eyes widened slightly. "This is your standard weapon?" he asked, disbelief evident in his voice. "Yes, sir." "It must be nearly half your body mass." Lex smiled slightly. "That's what makes it effective, sir." Later that day, Lex met her new squad mates in the training area. Han was immediately noticeable with his 4 arms, each moving independently as he checked his equipment. His skin was a pale blue, and his eyes, all 3 of them, blinked in sequence when Lex entered. "The human arrives," he said, his voice clicking slightly. "I am Han, Tactical Specialist." Next to him stood a slender, graceful figure with iridescent skin that shifted colors like oil on water. "I am Mina," she said without moving her mouth, the words appearing directly in Lex's mind. "I serve as our diplomatic specialist and telepathic coordinator." The last member of the team was hard to miss. Standing nearly 8 feet tall with scaled skin and powerful limbs, he resembled what humans might call a dinosaur. "Die," he rumbled, his voice so deep Lex could feel it in her chest. "Demolitions." They all stared at the rifle case Lex carried. "Is it true?" Han asked, his multiple eyes blinking rapidly. "Do you really use physical projectiles as weapons?" Before Lex could answer, Captain June entered. "We'll see what security specialist Connor can do. First training exercise begins now." The simulation was simple. Neutralize targets at increasing distances under various environmental conditions. Lex watched as her teammates used their advanced energy weapons, hitting targets with colorful beams of focused light. Then it was her turn. She assembled her rifle while the others watched with undisguised curiosity. When she began firing, their curiosity turned to amazement. Target after target fell, regardless of distance or conditions. When the final score appeared, Lex had outperformed every squad member. "How is this possible?" Han demanded. "Your weapon technology is centuries behind ours." Lex broke down her rifle as she explained. "Energy weapons are great, but they have weaknesses. They disperse in certain atmospheric conditions, can be reflected by the right materials, and require power cells that can fail. Kinetic projectiles don't care about the weather, and they carry their energy with them." Captain June nodded thoughtfully. "An interesting perspective." As they left the training area, a small, serious-looking alien approached. She wore the insignia of Intelligence Division. "Captain June, Security Specialist Connor," she greeted them. "I am Intelligence Officer Yoon. We have information you need to hear." They followed her to a secure briefing room. Once the door sealed, Yoon activated a holographic display showing a fierce-looking alien with ridge-like formations on his head and sharp teeth. "This is Crime Lord Kim Ho," Yoon explained. "He controls most of the illegal operations in 3 sectors. Our intelligence indicates he has placed a substantial bounty on human crews." "Why?" Lex asked, studying the alien's face. "Why target humans specifically?" Captain June exchanged a look with Officer Yoon before answering. "Because humans are different from other species that joined galactic society." "Different how?" Lex pressed. "Most species," Captain June explained, "abandon their weapons of war once they discover more advanced technologies. They see projectile weapons as primitive relics of a violent past." He gestured to the rifle case. "Humans didn't. You kept your ballistic weapons and made them better, even as you developed other technologies." Kim Ho sees this as a threat. Officer Yoon added. "He believes that if humans gain access to advanced Federation technology while maintaining your unique approach to weaponry, you will become too dangerous." Lex considered this. "So he's targeting us because we like big guns." "He's targeting you," Captain Jones said gravely, "because he fears what humans might become once fully integrated into galactic society. And after seeing what you did to those wreck pirates, I can't entirely blame him." Lex's hand rested on her rifle case. "When do we start hunting him down?" Captain June's mouth twitched in what might have been a smile. "Training continues tomorrow. The hunt begins once you're ready." As they left the briefing room, Lex noticed her squad mates looking at her differently. Not with the earlier skepticism, but with a new, cautious respect. 6 gleaming ships floated through the colorful gases of the Eagle Nebula. These were not ordinary vessels. They carried the most important diplomats from the Galactic Federation's central planets. The meeting they were traveling to would shape trade routes for the next 50 years. Ranger Squad 7 had been given the job of protecting these ships. For Lex, it was her first real mission since joining the Rangers 2 months ago. She stood on the observation deck of the lead ship, the Eternal Peace *. Through the massive window, she could see the swirling purple and blue clouds of the nebula. Stars twinkled in the distance. Her massive rifle was propped against the railing beside her. Han approached, his 4 blue arms moving in different patterns as he checked his equipment. His 3 eyes blinked at the sight of Lex's weapon. "I still don't understand why you brought that cannon," he said, pointing at the rifle. Captain June approved standard energy weapons for this mission. The chances of an attack are very low. Lex kept her eyes on the star field. "Call it a hunch." "Human hunches," Han muttered, shaking his head. "Your kind relies too much on feelings and not enough on data." Lex smiled but said nothing. For 3 weeks, she had studied everything about Kim Ho and his operations. The crime lord had been too quiet lately. Something was coming. She could feel it. Captain Jun's voice came through their communication devices. All Rangers report in. Status check. Observation deck secure, Lex reported. Engine room secure, came Da's rumbling voice. Ambassador quarters secure, Minna's thoughts echoed in their minds. Han finished his report from the bridge. Everything seemed peaceful. Too peaceful. The attack came without any warning. One moment, the space around them was empty. The next, 5 black ships appeared as if by magic, dropping out of stealth fields that had hidden them from the convoy sensors. All Rangers to battle stations. Captain Jun shouted over the comms. We have multiple hostile ships. They're launching boarding craft. Lex grabbed her rifle and ran toward the main airlock. She could hear alarms blaring throughout the ship. Through the windows, she saw small pods shooting from the enemy vessels toward their ship. They're Kim Ho's forces, Officer Yoon's voice reported. The markings matched known ships from his fleet. The first boarding pod struck the asterisk Eternal Peace asterisk with a metallic clang that echoed through the hull. More impacts followed as other ships in the convoy were targeted. Minna, stay with the ambassadors, Captain Jun ordered. Everyone else, repel boarders. Lex reached the corridor leading to the main airlock just as it burst open. Raiders in black armor poured through, firing energy weapons. Federation security guards fired back, but something strange happened. Their energy beams hit the raiders' armor and simply bounced off. Our weapons aren't working, a guard shouted before being struck down. Lex took cover behind a support beam and watched as Han and several other Rangers arrived. They fired their advanced energy rifles at the raiders, but the results were the same. Colorful beams of light hit the raiders' shields and scattered harmlessly away. Our weapons are ineffective. Minna's panicked thoughts reached everyone. They've breached the ambassador's ship. We can't stop them. Lex lifted her rifle to her shoulder. Through the scope, she could see that the raiders were wearing some kind of new armor with a shimmering field around it. She aimed at the leader, took a deep breath, and pulled the trigger. The sound of the shot was deafening in the confined space. The heavy round flew straight at the raider's chest. When it hit the energy shield, something unexpected happened. Instead of bouncing off, the bullet tore right through the shield and the raider behind it. Everyone in the corridor froze for a moment, staring at the fallen raider. How is that possible? Dad demanded over the comms, his voice filled with shock. Lex chambered another round. Their shields are made to stop energy weapons, she explained calmly. They're designed to disperse energy, but they weren't built to stop something as primitive as a metal slug moving at hypersonic speed. She fired again, and another raider fell. Everyone behind me. Lex ordered the Rangers and guards. I'll clear a path. For the next 20 minutes, Lex moved methodically through the ship, her rifle booming in the corridors. Each shot found its target. The raiders, so confident in their new shield technology, had no defense against the primitive human weapon. Captain Jun coordinated the defense from the bridge, directing Lex to where she was needed most. Han and Dai followed her, protecting her flanks while she reloaded. Ambassador ship secured, Minna reported eventually. The raiders are retreating. By the time the attack was over, Lex had fired 22 shots. 17 raiders were dead. The rest fled back to their ships, obviously shocked by the failure of their supposedly impenetrable shields. As the last raider ship turned to escape, they broadcast a final message to the convoy. The humans must be eliminated before they fully integrate their barbaric methods with our technology. 3 days later, back at Ranger headquarters, Squad 7 sat in the debriefing room. Captain Jun stood at the front, reading from the official after-action report. All ambassadors safe. Minimal damage to the convoy. 17 enemy combatants neutralized. He looked up at Lex. All 17 by security specialist Connor's weapon. Han's 3 eyes blinked rapidly. I still don't understand how such an old technology could defeat their advanced shields. Sometimes the simplest solution is the best, Lex said, patting her rifle case. Captain June nodded. It seems your oversized gun saved us today. Perhaps there's something to your species approach after all. He closed the report. The Federation Council has taken notice. They want to know more about human weapons technology. Are they worried? Lex asked. Curious, Captain June corrected. And impressed. They've authorized a special project for Squad 7 to develop hybrid weapons combining human ballistic principles with our energy technology. Day let out a rumbling laugh. The criminals won't know what hit them. As they left the debriefing room, Lex noticed something different. Her teammates no longer looked at her rifle with confusion or disbelief. Now there was respect in their eyes. Her primitive weapon had proven its worth in the most convincing way possible. Kim Ho was still out there, and now he would be more determined than ever to stop humans from spreading their influence. But Lex smiled to herself. The hunt for the crime lord had just begun, and now she had the full support of her team. Squad 7 gathered in the briefing room of the Ranger ship. The lights dimmed as Officer Yoon activated the holographic display. A star map appeared, with one area glowing red. Intelligence has tracked Kim Ho's operations to the Cygnus Arm, Officer Yoon said, pointing to the highlighted region. After the diplomatic convoy attack, the Federation Council has authorized your team to pursue and neutralize this threat. Captain June stood up. This won't be easy. Kim Ho controls multiple bases across several star systems. We'll need to investigate each one. What about his shield technology? Han asked, his 4 arms crossed in front of him. That's where our human teammate comes in, Captain Jun said, nodding toward Lex. The Federation has approved a special project. We're going to combine Ranger technology with human ballistic principles. Lex smiled. For once, her primitive weapons were being taken seriously. Over the next month, Squad 7 traveled across the Cygnus Arm, following leads on Kim Ho's operations. Their first stop was the desert planet Tor, a world of endless sand dunes under 3 scorching suns. Kim Ho's forces had a small base hidden in a canyon. When Squad 7 approached, they were met with heavy fire. My weapon isn't working properly, Han shouted as his energy rifle sputtered and failed. Sand particles in the air were dispersing the energy beams. Lex unslung her rifle. Watch and learn, she said, taking aim. Her shots rang out, each finding its target despite the swirling sandstorm. Later, in the quiet of the ship, Lex showed Han how to modify his rifle. Sand and dust affect energy dispersion, but solid bullets don't care. You can compensate by adjusting your weapon this way. Han's 3 eyes blinked in understanding. Your methods are surprisingly practical. Their next target was the water world Nyx, where Kim Ho ran a smuggling operation. The planet's oceans were not water but liquid methane, cold enough to freeze human blood in seconds. Standard weapons won't work underwater, especially in methane, Captain Jun said as they prepared their dive equipment. Day, whose reptilian species had evolved on a partially aquatic world, worked with Lex to develop special ammunition. If we coat the bullets with this polymer and adjust the firing mechanism, they'll maintain stability even in liquid environments, Lex explained as they tested the rounds in a methane tank. Mina watched from across the lab, her color-shifting skin reflecting her concern. Your species' obsession with finding new ways to propel metal at high speeds is disturbing, she said telepathically to Lex. Lex loaded the modified ammunition into her rifle. Yet effective, she countered with a smile. The underwater raid was a complete success. Kim Ho's forces, confident that the methane sea would protect them, were unprepared for weapons that worked perfectly in the alien environment. As they moved from world to world, Lex noticed that her teammates were adopting more of her methods. Han had modified his rifle to fire small solid projectiles as well as energy beams. Da had developed explosive rounds that could penetrate shields. Even Mina, initially the most skeptical, now carried a small ballistic pistol as a backup weapon. After a particularly fierce battle on the mining colony of Veros, they captured one of Kim Ho's top lieutenants. The prisoner was a serpentine being named Hyun, with scales that shimmered like oil on water and vertical pupils that narrowed to slits in the bright interrogation room. "Why is Kim Ho targeting humans specifically?" Captain Jun demanded. "There are dozens of species in the Federation. Why focus on one?" Hyun's forked tongue flicked out as he hissed in contempt. "Your precious Federation accepts any species that achieves spaceflight, but humans." He turned his cold gaze to Lex. "They reached the stars still carrying their primitive weapons of war. Most species abandon projectile weapons once they discover energy technology," Minna observed, her telepathic voice calm in everyone's minds. "Not humans," Him continued, his voice dripping with disgust. "They kept building bigger guns, more destructive bombs. Kim Ho has seen your historical records. Your world wars. Your nuclear weapons." The alien's eyes narrowed. "If humans acquire advanced Federation technology while maintaining their war instincts..." Lex leaned forward, her face inches from the alien's. "You're afraid of what we might become." It wasn't a question, and Hyun didn't treat it as one. His scaled lips pulled back, revealing needle-sharp teeth. "Kim Ho knows what humans are. He's seen what happened to the Vrek when they underestimated you. He studied your history. Your kind fights wars over invisible lines on maps, over different ideas about invisible gods. Your weapons grow more deadly with each generation." Captain Jun placed a hand on Lex's shoulder, gently pulling her back from the prisoner. "Where is Kim Ho now? We know he's planning something big." For a moment, it seemed Hyun wouldn't answer. Then he laughed, a dry sound like scales rubbing together. "Kim Ho's main compound is on the moon of Ragnar, a fortress built into the very rock of the moon." His eyes locked with Lex. "He knows you're coming. He's prepared." As Squad 7 left the interrogation room, Day rumbled thoughtfully. Could he be telling the truth? Could it be that easy? "It's a trap," Han said immediately, all three eyes blinking in sequence. He gave up the location too willingly. "Of course it's a trap," Captain Jun agreed. "But knowing it's a trap gives us an advantage. We can prepare." As they walked toward the bridge to plan their assault on Ragnar, Minna fell into step beside Lex. "I've been in your mind during our missions," she said telepathically, so only Lex could hear. "I've seen your thoughts when you fire your weapon. There is no joy in killing for you, no thrill in the power you wield." Lex glanced at the telepath. "What did you expect to find?" "Kim Ho believes humans are inherently dangerous because of your weapons, but I think he misunderstands. It's not your weapons that make you different, it's how you think about them." Ahead of them, Captain Jun was already pulling up maps of Ragnar and its moon. The final confrontation with Kim Ho was coming. As Lex checked her rifle and the new hybrid ammunition they had developed, she thought about Hyun's words. Were aliens really afraid of humans? The idea seemed almost laughable. Humans were newcomers to the galactic stage, with technology centuries behind most other species. But perhaps it wasn't their technology that worried Kim Ho, it was their potential. What humans might become once they combined their unique approach to problem-solving with advanced alien technology. "We'll be ready for Ragnar in 48 hours, Captain Jun announced. "Rest while you can. The real hunt is about to begin." The moon of Ragnar hung in space like a dark purple gem. Unlike Earth's moon, it had a thin atmosphere that created a violet sky. Against this backdrop stood Kim Ho's fortress, a massive structure built into the side of a mountain. Tall defense towers watched for approaching enemies, weapons ready to fire. Squad 7's ship landed 3 miles from the fortress, hidden in a deep canyon. The team gathered around a small holographic display showing the fortress layout. "Remember the plan," Captain Jun said as they checked their equipment. "Minna and Han will take out the shield generators. Dad will create a distraction at the main gate. Lex." "I know my part," Lex replied quietly. She checked her weapon one last time. It wasn't the same rifle she had brought from Earth. This was something new, a hybrid design created by Federation scientists using her input. It combined the power of her ballistic weapon with alien energy technology. The bullets were made of dense tungsten, surrounded by disruption fields that could penetrate any shield. As darkness fell, the team moved into position. Lex climbed a ridge overlooking the fortress, setting up her rifle on a flat rock. Through her scope, she could see inside the command center where Kim-Ho stood surrounded by guards. The crime lord was tall and lean, with ridge-like bumps running down his head and sharp teeth that gleamed when he spoke. In position, Lex whispered into her communicator. "Ready," came Han's voice. "Ready," thought Mena. "Ready to make noise," rumbled Da. Captain Jum gave the order. "Begin." The assault started with a massive explosion at the front gate. Da had planted charges that blew the heavy doors apart. Alarms blared throughout the fortress as guards rushed to defend against the attack. At the same time, Han and Mina slipped through a service entrance, moving quickly toward the shield generators. Their job was to take down the fortress defenses. Lex watched through her scope as Kim-Ho shouted orders to his security forces. The crime lord didn't look worried. He was confident in his defenses. "Generators still active," Han reported. "Heavy resistance." Lex could see Kim-Ho's forces deploying their special shields, the same technology that had made Ranger weapons useless during the convoy attack. The guards moved with confidence, knowing their protection should stop any energy weapon. Lex took a deep breath and squeezed the trigger. The hybrid rifle made a sound like thunder. The special round flew straight to its target, a shield generator on a tower. When it hit, both the shield and the generator exploded. Kim-Ho's forces looked up in confusion. Their shields were supposed to be impenetrable. Before they could react, Lex fired again. And again. "Shields are down," Han shouted over the comm. "Whatever you're doing, Lex, keep it up." Through her scope, Lex could see the confusion in the command center. Kim-Ho was shouting at his advisors, pointing at screens showing his defenses failing one by one. For the next 20 minutes, Lex methodically eliminated key targets across the fortress. Guard posts, weapon emplacements, communication arrays, one by one, they fell silent. "Main gate secured," Day reported. "We've reached the prison section," Mina added, "freeing the captives." Captain Jum's voice came next, moving on the command center. Lex shifted her aim to provide cover for the captain as he led a group of Rangers toward Kim-Ho's position. The crime lord, seeing his forces defeated, fled deeper into the fortress. "He's heading for the bunker," Lex reported, tracking his movement. "Northwest corner, underground level." "Cut him off," Captain Jun ordered. Lex slung her rifle and ran down from her position. She knew a faster way to the bunker from studying the fortress plans. Moving through narrow passages and maintenance tunnels, she reached the bunker entrance just as Kim-Ho arrived with 2 guards. The guards raised their weapons, but Lex was faster. 2 shots from her sidearm left her facing Kim-Ho alone. The crime lord didn't try to fight. He simply stood there, staring at Lex and her weapon with a strange expression. "It's over," Lex said, keeping her rifle aimed at his chest. Kim-Ho didn't resist as she bound his hands with restraints. Instead, he spoke in a quiet voice. "Why build weapons so large, so powerful?" he asked, nodding toward her rifle. "That thing could destroy a small ship. It's excessive." Lex smiled slightly. "That's humanity for you. We don't believe in bringing adequate firepower to a fight. We believe in bringing overwhelming firepower." Kim-Ho shook his head. "Your kind will change the galaxy, human. I'm not sure if that's good or bad." 3 months after Kim-Ho's capture, Lex stood in the Great Hall of the Ranger Academy. 20 new human recruits stood at attention, each wearing the silver uniform of a Ranger trainee. Behind them were aliens from a dozen different species. High Counselor Su-Jin addressed the crowd, her voice echoing in the large room. "The integration of human tactical approaches has already begun reshaping our security protocols," she announced. While we once considered ballistic weapons obsolete, we now recognize the value of diverse approaches to problem solving. Lex watched as the human recruits were issued their new hybrid weapons, smaller versions of the rifle she had helped design. The old-fashioned ballistic guns combined with advanced alien technology had proven so effective that the Rangers were adopting them standard equipment. In the weeks after Kimho's capture, stories had spread throughout the criminal underworld. A new saying began circulating among pirates and smugglers: if you see a human with an oversized gun, run the other way. Pirate attacks on human ships had dropped to zero. Later that evening, Lex sat in her quarters aboard the Ranger flagship, cleaning her rifle. The weapon had been modified several times since she first brought it aboard. Now it contained technology no human engineer would recognize, yet still maintained the basic principles of her original design. The door chimed, and Captain June entered. He carried a small data tablet. "New assignment," he said, placing the tablet in front of her. "Apparently, there's a growing demand for Rangers with your particular skills." Lex looked at the screen and saw the details of their next mission. A group of pirates had taken over a mining colony in a distant sector. The Rangers wanted Squad 7 to handle it. She smiled as she reassembled her weapon. The massive gun, now decorated with kill markings in 17 different alien languages, gleamed under the cabin lights. "They're still not used to the size of our guns, are they?" she asked. Captain June shook his head, a small smile on his face. "I don't think the galaxy will ever understand humanity's fascination with building increasingly impractical weapons," he replied. "But they're certainly learning to respect the results." As the Ranger ship moved toward their next mission, Lex thought about how quickly things had changed. Just months ago, humans had been considered primitive newcomers to galactic society. Now, their approach to weapons and tactics was changing how the entire Federation operated. All because humans never forgot the simple principle that sometimes the biggest gun wins.